So I wanted to talk a little bit about free writing and about how like it's really helped me to become a better writer, and it's also helped me just like in other creative areas as soon as I like access my creative mind, like if I do like a free write before, it gets my like brain really flowing, and I just feel like there's so many benefits to it, especially if you want to be like if you want to do stuff in like the writing industry, or you want to like be a creative, like do anything in the creative industry. um Free writing is something that I didn't really know much about, and then I have just started doing it like a lot recently, and it's really kind of like how it's helped me. But I haven't really touched on like why it's good for you, and like why it's good for you if you're like a creative person, and just like a little bit more about it. I think for me personally, like as a writer and as somebody who is like writing, like always wanting to write, and always like every day has like idea have has like creative ideas, and like is always wanting to put thoughts on paper. I think the thing that I realized with free writing, it just, I don't know, it took away so much judgment. It took away like so much self judgment. It took away so much like outer judgment. It just like you just let yourself flow, and you let yourself just like come alive on the page, and you kind of just like put all thought and all like anything about like what you're writing and what you're like putting down on paper, like it just all like disappears. And I feel like as a creative person, like that can be like a challenge sometimes, like to forget, because when you're creating, you should always be creating for yourself. Like that is like the basis of it. Like you should always be creating for you. But sometimes when we there's like a balance between like creating for our inner selves, and then creating for like our outer selves, and creating for like other people, and creating for other people's eyes. And like, like sharing your work and sharing your creative ideas can be like a scary thing sometimes, especially if you've never done it before, and especially if you have like self-judgment. So I feel like if you just like take a couple minutes, or even like longer, like I do free write sometimes for like hours and hours, but if you just like take some time to kind of just let yourself flow, and not worry about like grammar or spelling, or not worry about how it looks, or not worry about like aesthetic, or not worry about like what it's like what the outcome is, or why you're writing it, or like its purpose, just like letting it flow out of you. And like what I found as well with it is like when I just let it flow, like I actually get like really good sentences or really good lines that I could use in my work that I wouldn't have thought about, like that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have just like kind of just like taken a step back and just let myself flow, and just let my hands do the work, like let my hands like do it, and not let my brain become so interfered with like my creative act. um so yeah, that's really helped me. And I think it's hard at first, it really is hard at first to kind of just like ignore the thoughts about it, ignore the judgment. But when you realize as well that the judgment isn't part of you, and it's like a separate part of you, and it's not there, it's not you, the creative you can come alive more, because you've got like a breathing space. You almost have like a breathing space to like just let yourself do, and not think so much about what it is that you're doing or the outcome of it, because we get so caught up in like the goal or the outcome of like our creative work. I think of things in general, we get so caught up about like how's it gonna go, or where's it gonna go, or like where's the structure, where's the idea, and it's like we forget that like creating is so in the moment. The creation should just be you and whatever it is that you're creating. It shouldn't be for other people's eyes. It shouldn't be for like external validation. It should just be because it's making you feel good. And I've realized that more than ever recently, that like the things that you do should just make you feel good. They don't have to lead like a massive big purpose, or they don't have to lead like this big legacy of like work. It can just be because you really enjoy what you're doing, and you're getting like joy out of it, and you're fulfilling you yourself. It doesn't have to be this like big thing. Like we get so caught up in that. We get so caught up in the idea of having to have things finished, have things perfect, have things done, where it's like it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what it looks like, or it doesn't matter what someone else says about it. It just should be your pure creation. It should just be what you believe. Like, it should just be what you're passionate about coming out. So that's something that I've really realized, and free writing has helped me to do that, because it's kind of just like unhindered me, and it's kind of just let me be like boundless in like my creation. It's kind of just let me explore different styles as well, different like styles and tones of writing, because I think we all have like an inner voice, and I feel like as a writer you search for that inner voice, like you search for like your unique voice. But I feel like when you do free writing, it's so unique because it just comes so naturally out of you, and it's literally like, it's almost like just like a stream of consciousness. It's just like a stream of thoughts, a stream of observation. It's just like a stream of like of ideas, and it's not becoming filtered as it comes out. I think free writing is something that has really benefited me in that way. It's just allowed me to become freer in my exploration. It's become freer in my creativity, and I think we do a lot of the times like stop ourselves from creating. Like sometimes we stop ourselves from like doing something because we think too much about it. And I think free writing is one of those things that's just allowed me to really, really like just become free. I think as well, like as a creative person, you're always like searching for the next new idea, or you're always like searching for like the next new thing that you can like put down. You're always kind of I think as a writer you're like observing outwards, and you're turning inwards, and like kind of then it's like a kind of 3-step cycle. Like you're looking outwards at the world, and you're looking outwards at life, or just like observations, or just like nature. You're looking out, and then you're turning inwards and like collecting like pieces of like images and stories and like words, and putting them together to then in turn produce work, produce like creativity, produce something that's like something that represents what it is that you've observed, or what it is that you've seen, or what it is that you felt. And I feel like sometimes as a creative person that can be like an exhausting act, because you're constantly having to look inwards, and you're constantly having to like search, and you're constantly having to like you're constantly having to question yourself, and you're constantly having to become so like self-involved, very introspective, especially when like you do things in such like a private way. You become very introspective, and I know that sometimes I go into like moments of hiding where all I want to do is create, and all I want to do is just like become introspective and think about things, and just like in turn put that onto paper. But sometimes that can get lonely, and I feel like that's another thing as a creative person. It's like you have to make sure that you're still interacting, and you're still becoming involved. I know that I've had like a little bit of a hard time with that. It's like where's the line between staying inwards and kind of like collecting from inwards, and like thinking from inwards, the internal process, to like then putting it outwards. Like where's the line? And sometimes that can get like blurry, and I feel like as a creative person that's something that you can kind of have to balance. Like balance is a big thing for a creative person too. I know that I've had that too. It's like balancing out like where you're putting your energy, like where you're focusing your energy on. And also like that's another realization I've had, is like, because I'm a creative person, I'm always creating, and I'm always like searching, and I'm always doing those 3 steps, that 3 cycle. It's like I've realized that I need to recharge. Like as a creative person you need to recharge. You need to like almost like recharge your like energy, because a lot of your energy can go out and out and out and out, and it's kind of like, if you're not careful and wise where you put it, it can sometimes be put in the wrong places, or it can sometimes be like put too much in one thing. Like I know if I put my energy too much in creating, I feel like I go like weird when I'm not doing it. And I feel like that's where the balance comes in. It's like as a creative person you've got to have that balance between creation and then rest, and then slowing down and reflecting, and being at it like 100. Just feel like a lot of us are guilty of that. A lot of us tend to get so wrapped up in our creations that we forget to like sit back and just like sometimes enjoy and like observe and not have to like take everything and put it into our work. Like sometimes you can just, like I've learned this, sometimes you can just enjoy things and just like be, and not have to like put it into poetry or put it into work or put it into like a project or put it into like a creative thing. Like that took me a long time to learn, and I'm still in the process of it. I'm still in the process of just like sitting back sometimes and just remembering, okay, I don't have to do everything right this second. Okay, I don't have to be writing the best line every single day. So yeah, that's like a lot about what I've learned. It's a lot about realizations that I've had. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Well, I kind of didn't really plan that, it just kind of came out for me. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. Um, so, thank you.